Well, it's that time when everyone is talking about the hottest home trends for the upcoming year. But most of us simply decorate with what we love. But it is fun to see what's in style and to find ways to incorporate some of those elements that we like into our spaces, but in a budget friendly way. So, in today's video, I'll show you how to thrift for affordable, on trend pieces and upcycle them if needed and style them to create a unique look in your home. So, if you're ready for some inexpensive and personalized decor ideas inspired by the 2025 trends, let's get started.
Biophilic design, incorporating greenery and natural elements into your home, will continue to be a major trend in 2025. If you want to embrace this design, when thrift store shopping, keep an eye out for plants, plant-related items, and items made from natural materials like wicker, stone, and wood. Although live plants are ideal, I also use a lot of faux plants because you can place them anywhere and you don't have to worry if they're getting enough water or sunlight. I thought this faux topiary for $3.99 was a great deal, and it just needed a little sprucing up. Next, I trimmed off several stems that were missing most of their leaves. A bunch of bare plastic stems makes a faux plant look really old and especially fake. I love the delicate hand weaving on this vintage wicker basket that I thrifted, and it's the perfect size to hold the topiary. I covered the top of the plastic pot with the faux moss that came with the plant. The artificial moss was really nice and probably cost more than the $4 that I paid for the plant. This topiary is a great size and I'll likely move it around a lot, but for now I'm going to use it to add some life to this dark corner. Can you believe this basket and plant together cost less than $7? I also thrifted this navy blue bed tray with a caned bottom. The legs on one side are missing, so I'm going to remove the existing legs and just use it as a regular tray. The caned bottom piece sat near the top edge of the tray sides and were attached with just a few small brad nails along the sides. So I decided to hammer the bottom piece to move it to the bottom of the tray sides. Then I added a few new brad nails to hold it in place. The paint was scratched in spots from hammering the bottom piece, but I liked the navy blue color, so I just grabbed some matching blue acrylic paint and painted over the tray sides. Because I edit video clips whenever I have a few spare minutes, I'm going to use the tray to keep my iPad and other supplies corralled together. This will look neater and hopefully help me to stay organized. Handcrafted and artisanal items are a huge trend this year. In a world of cheap, mass-produced merchandise, we are craving unique items made by hand. Things to look for at the thrift store include ceramics, textiles, and original artwork. I'm particularly attracted to needlepoint, knit and crocheted items, watercolor, and oil paintings. This signed painting was only $3.99 and came with a certificate of authenticity. The canvas was a little wavy, but I thought I could fix it without restretching the canvas. I placed a damp cloth on the back side of the canvas and left it there for a few hours. Once you remove the cloth and the canvas dries, it will naturally shrink a little, which is usually enough to smooth out any bubbles or wavy areas. You know I couldn't pass up this needlepoint Hummel Girl. The texture and color of this is so warm and charming, and because it's handcrafted, it's absolutely unique. Like handcrafted pieces, many vintage and antique items were made with high-quality materials and craftsmanship. Vintage furniture and decor add personality and charm to your space that you just can't get with new merchandise. Items to look for at the thrift store include fabric, furniture, decorative objects, and wall art. I loved that secretary desk and antique kitchen stool, but instead I came home with a few smaller items, like this print of a boy and girl with several cats. I wouldn't normally pay $22 for a small picture, but it does appear to be a genuine antique. And I think it looks great against the navy walls in the spare bedroom. When I saw this cherub table at Goodwill, I didn't know whether to gasp or giggle. A few years ago, I would never have considered buying this mid-century table. But more recently, I'm attracted to unique items that I once considered downright ugly. Luckily, the laminate tabletop was just screwed on, so that's going straight to the trash. I wanted to play around with the color of the plaster base. Much of the varnish had worn away, and I contemplated covering it in gold leaf, but I liked the aged look of it, and I wanted to try enhancing that. I started by brushing on black wax, which made the white plaster look like concrete. It was an improvement, but I wanted to add another layer, so I followed the black wax with a coat of antiquing wax, which really helped to even out the spotty yellow varnish. To create a new tabletop, I had 2 wood rounds that came from a Dollar Tree tiered tray. The larger one seemed like a good size, so I popped off the little feet on the underside. I tried to paint and stain the wood round to coordinate with the base, but I didn't like it at all. However, I went ahead and found a nut in my stash to fit the screw in the pedestal to hold the wood round in place. At this point, I decided that the base was too yellow for my liking. So to tone it down, I brushed on some light green chalk paint. Because I had already applied 2 layers of wax, I was able to use a cloth to wipe away most of the paint, leaving just a hint of green behind. Now, what to do about the tabletop? I had thrifted this nice wood tray for $8, and I was thinking it might look nice on the cherub base. The gold frame was easily removed. Then to attach it, I needed to sand the wax off of the rim of the Dollar Tree tray. Then I applied wood glue to the rim and turned it upside down on the nice wood round and let the glue dry. It's actually really secure, so I didn't even add any nails, at least not for now. The wood round, I think, is the perfect size for the base, but the stain just doesn't coordinate well with the cherubs. I don't want to paint it though, so I'm going to have to wait until the weather warms up so I can sand it and re-stain it. I think a dark walnut shade will look much better. Red is definitely having a moment this year. Although you might not be ready to paint your living room mauve or burgundy, you can use red strategically in your home to add a touch of vibrancy and visual interest without overwhelming the space. Think throw pillows, blankets, vases, candles, artwork, even books. If you want to try out this trend but are afraid of using such a bold color, thrift just a couple small items and see whether you like them. I could have included this oval portrait of a boy in a red velvet suit in the vintage and antique category, but this is a great way to add just a hint of red into a room. The frame backing was held in place by 4 small nails, and I wanted to clean the glass on both sides, so I pried out the nails and set them aside. I was totally surprised to discover that the art print was actually adhered to the inside of the glass. I'm not a fan of the bronze-colored frame that was popular in the 1960s and 70s, so I brushed over it with antique gold rub and buff to give it a fresh look. Then I put the frame back together, carefully tapping in the nails. I feel people either love or hate red, and if you love it, then now is the perfect time to introduce this rich color into your home. Lighting that makes a statement or expresses our personality is trending in 2025. We want our lamps and light fixtures not only to function, but to be visually interesting. Unique shapes, natural materials, maximalist chandeliers, and vintage-inspired fixtures are especially popular. I spotted 3 vintage brass lamps at the thrift store. I was especially drawn to the tall, unlacquered one. I'm pretty sure it's real brass. I want to find some fabric to make a pattern pleated shade, but for now I decided to update the existing shade by adding some burgundy velvet ribbon that I picked up at Joann Fabrics for 80% off. I just hot glued it over the existing binding around the top and bottom edges of the shade. The lamp came with a very tall harp, so I tried out a medium-sized one, and then I switched it out for an even smaller one. When a shade seems like the wrong size for a lamp, try switching out the harp before you run out and buy a new shade. I didn't think I was going to like the original shade, but now I think it seems just right. Mixing metals is a hot trend in both fashion and home decor. It reflects a more eclectic and personal style, breaking away from the idea that all your metals have to match. Personally, I do think that too many metals can overwhelm a space, so I would limit it to just a couple of your favorites. Gold and silver looks great together, as does brass and copper. I bought this silver plate butter dish sight unseen since the box was taped closed, but I'm not disappointed. How cute is that there is a stand for the butter knife? The pear and apple salt and pepper shakers are pewter, which cleaned up beautifully with just soap and water. This silver cup is so pretty. I don't know what it was originally used for, but I think it looks adorable holding a few tiny books. Brass vases are getting pricier at thrift stores, but this one was so large I thought it was worth $10. In fact, it was so deep I needed to add some plastic bags in the bottom so that it didn't completely hide my dried eucalyptus stems. I think I like the shiny brass frames on the wall next to the tarnished brass of the vase. This bronze light switch plate is another mid-century item that I once would have passed by, but I'm thinking with some gold rub and buff, this could make quite a statement in my foyer. I used the screws from the existing switch plate, and since they had been painted over, I rubbed the screw heads over a sanding block to remove most of the paint. Once I had them screwed into the new switch plate, I brushed over them with the same gold rub and buff. Since my house was built in 1962, I like to think that this could have been the original switch plate. Let's face it, wood never goes out of style, but certain shades and tones of wood go in and out of popularity. For 2025, warm tones and medium wood shades are what's trending. And luckily for us, thrift stores are full of furniture and decor in those colors. Carved wood is especially stylish due to its handcrafted appeal. To revive this wood vase, I applied feed-in wax, to a wax brush so that I could get into all the small crevices. The vase is beautiful on its own, so I'm just going to add some simple fern leaves for a pop of green. I also thrifted this wood stand. I often refer to recipes online, and this will give me a safe place to prop up my iPad. I also like that it completely conceals the lamp cord. I rarely pass up any small wooden stool that I spot at the thrift store because they can be used for so many different things. Interest in the Art Deco style of the 1920s and 30s is popular again, and even though it's beautiful and glamorous, this is a trend that just doesn't fit my personal style. I'm not a big fan of geometric designs, glass and mirrored furniture, curved sofas, or shiny chrome surfaces. But if you love this look, there are plenty of items that you can find at the thrift store. I saw some lovely glass pieces, including a pair of lamps. And even though this isn't really my style, I couldn't pass up this amazing cut glass picture frame for less than $3. Well, I'm curious, are you going to try any of these trends in your home this year? Thanks so much for watching today, and Happy New Year!